What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another flashlight review. If you're new here, my name is Theo, and today this review is probably going to be a longer one, so as usual, feel free to skip ahead to some of the timestamps that I'll have overlaid for you guys' convenience. Anyways, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the CWF Arcadian flashlight that I have here in front of me, as well as the Dragon driver that the flashlight utilizes. Full disclosure, this flashlight does not belong to me. It was sent out for a review by a very generous viewer of the channel who asked to remain unnamed, and for that I am very grateful. It means a lot to know that people trust me enough to send in something this expensive for review. So if you ever want to send something in for review, know that it really helps the channel grow, and it's awesome for me being able to connect with my viewers. Alright, so let's talk about this flashlight, the Arcadian. For a little background, these are made in the US by Charles Wiggins, a very respected modder and now manufacturer, I guess, in the flashlight community. Charles currently makes two models, one being the Pele and the second being the Arcadian, which is this one here. The Pele has additional engraving on it done by Mike Bond and a fancier design, while the Arcadian takes a much more simple approach, hence its name. Both of them sport the Dragon driver, which Charles designed, as well as the TI2 design clip from Mike Bond. So let's talk about what's good about the flashlight physically. First off, sometimes simple is more, as is the case with the Arcadian here. It uses a bare bones version of one of the most tried and true designs out there. This design facilitates both your full hand grip as well as your cigar grip here. Fun fact, some other maker caught a lot of flack for using a design similar to the Arcadian. And this was ironic to me because the Arcadian's design is essentially the form factor of so many other custom flashlights, just cut down to the bare bones. In essence, it's not really like you can claim this design as unique or proprietary in any way, which was why it was ironic that someone else would call out another maker for using this design. Moving on, the build quality is excellent all around, and it better be at this price point. This flashlight host is made out of grade 5 titanium, which I confirmed with Charles himself, and the machining is simply impeccable on it if you look closely. It's just consistent all around the flashlight. There are a few good indications of quality here, the first being the seam between the body and the head. Right now it's got some grit on it, but note that when the head is completely screwed on, it is very hard to discern where the head and body actually meet. Next indicator is a testament to the tolerances this flashlight has been built to. If we pop this guy open here and take a look at the battery tube, so watch what happens when I put in the battery. Notice how it sort of glides in because of how flush the wall of the tube is to the battery itself. And that is just some insane tolerances. While this does mean that certain batteries might not fit, which I'll delve into later, it's clear that the tolerances on this flashlight are very fine, and it reminds me of some of the old Mac Tri-ADC flashlights. Now, Dragon driver aside, the clip on this guy is also something that I really wanted to check out, and it doesn't disappoint in my opinion. Let me zoom in here so you guys can get a better look at this beauty. It's a bit larger than most conventional clips, but it really pulls its own weight in terms of functionality and aesthetics. And if you look here, you can see that the lip of this clip is a lot taller than most other clips in the flashlight world. And what this effectively means is that it's going to clip onto any article of clothing you own without an issue. I've had issues with some of my other clips where it was difficult to get them onto certain pants because of how wide the seam was. And that's not a problem with this clip. The tension on it, as I received the flashlight at least, was just right in my opinion. Not too tight and not too pliable. It's not going to fall off if you clip it even on, say, gym shorts or something to that effect. Right, so I think that covers the external aspects of the flashlight, so let's talk internals, namely the Dragon driver in here. The Dragon driver was designed by Charles himself, and what makes it really unique is that it utilizes secondary colored LEDs. You can see that this one has amber secondaries, although there's a myriad other options. I myself would recommend going for red or amber secondaries, as these are the most useful in practice. Both red and amber preserve your night vision, and they are great for getting around when you wake up in the middle of the night to hit the toilet or something like that. The other secondary colors are cool, but they are a lot more gimmicky in my opinion. So how do you program this thing? The Dragon driver utilizes preset mode groups, and it has a few other options that you can toggle. Programming the mode group of your choice works by tapping the button rapidly until you enter programming. And once you enter programming, you'll see a series of flashes indicating the options. These flashes will continue to grow in number so long as the button is held, so I find that it often helps to fully click the button once you've entered programming. Once the flashlights blink the number of times of your desired option, quickly click off the flashlight and click it on again. Alright, so let's say that we want to program our flashlight mode group to mode group 6, which I believe is red 15% and 100%. So just three simple output levels. The way this is going to work is that first we want to access programming, and we're going to hold down the switch and then depress it again. And then depress it again, because that's going to be the first mode group option. And then we're going to wait for 6 blinks, which is going to be the 6th mode group, and rinse and repeat. So it's a little bit hard to explain, but once you see it, you can probably figure it out pretty easily. So first we're going to click it 15 times to enter programming. Hold down. Again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now there's your red, 15%, 100%. So yeah. All right, so it is a bit difficult to program these at first, and it did take me some practice to get this down. Now, the other options, namely turbo, strobe, battery check, and bike strobe, took me a little while longer to figure out even. And once you get these down though, it's really simple. The way these work is first you tap the flashlight on, and then you wait half a second and tap it again. That's turbo, strobe, bat check, and bike strobe. It's pretty simple when you know the trick, and it just requires getting the right timing. So the bat check is a pretty cool feature. I don't think I would use any of the other ones, honestly, but the way the bat check works is it's supposed to blink up to 8 times, 8 times signifying 100% battery. So let's say it blinks 4 times. That's going to mean you're at 50% battery, obviously. I believe there are multiple emitter options. However, this one is using the Samsung 351D in 4000 Kelvin. These are a newer emitter, and boy did they smoke the competition. I believe that not only are they more efficient than the Nichia 219C while still providing high cry, but they are also brighter than the Cree XPL High LEDs. Now, generally you have to trade off between output and cry, but these Samsung emitters get a little bit of both worlds. You're not going to see this on video very well, and this is why I hate beam shots in general, but take my word for it that these emitters are very bright. Overall, the internal specs of the Arcadian are very solid for what they are. Now, obviously there are still some trade-offs, and this is where I get into the bad. The 351D emitters are probably a little too efficient for their own good. And to this effect, I found that the low on the Arcadian was simply too bright for me to use for most indoor tasks. It was great outdoors for sure, but it really strained my eyes indoors because of how bright it was. Now, I discussed this in a previous video, but younger people's eyes are much more sensitive to light than our older people's. And for me, this was just a bit too much. I'm not the only one with this problem though, and I was actually talking with a friend of mine a while back who was showing me his Convoy host running the Samsung 351Ds with a Moonlight special driver. So what's funny is that he wanted a super low Moonlight, hence the name of the driver, but the 351Ds were so efficient to the point where they were brighter than most normal Moonlights despite the extremely low voltage being sent to them by the driver. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but this is one of the drawbacks of having preset mode groups. The levels are already set and you can't change them. And as a basis of comparison, and the driver that the Dragon has inevitably been compared to, here is my Boss 35, which uses the Lux RC 371D driver. So yeah, a lot of names going on here, but once you figure out the names, it's really easy to keep track, honestly. This is probably one of the most advanced and expensive drivers in existence, so it's not a very fair comparison to the Dragon driver, but it still doesn't change the fact that this driver is so much more versatile. So you program it via a light sensor, and you can change up to 4 modes to your desired output level, which is pretty sweet. Something else that you'll note about the 371D relative to the Dragon driver is that the secondary emitter, which is right here if you can see it. Let me zoom in actually so you guys can get a better look. And that is the secondary emitter. You can see that it's sandwiched between the optic and it rests directly against the glass. And what this means is that it leads to an even beam pattern on the wall. It's still not pretty, but it doesn't have any distortion to it. On the other hand, you can see here that the secondary emitters on the Dragon are much more recessed, and there they are in the corner. There's actually 3 on the Dragon, which is pretty cool. But what this ends up meaning is that you get a very wacky beam pattern. Personally, this is a bit of a deal breaker for me, but the saving grace here is that there's 2 output levels for the color emitters on the Dragon, and they're also much brighter than the one on this 371D driver. Like I said, this isn't a very fair comparison considering that the Dragon is about half the cost of the 371D, but this should illustrate their respective differences. The Dragon is generally understood to be a cheaper alternative to the 371D, and it has limitations as a result. The only thing I can really criticize about the physical aspect of the light is actually the clip, and this is purely an aesthetic thing really. So if you view the Arcadian from the side, you can see that the clip gets farther removed from the body the further you make your way down to the head. And that just looks kind of awkward to me. Once I saw it, I just really couldn't unsee it. Overall, it's still a sweet clip, but I do think it's overpriced if you buy one individually. And I just can't get over this now that I've seen it, really. And if we're talking price, that's going to be a point of contention for many people. Currently, the Arcadian goes for around $700 direct from Charles. That's some serious pocket change, and while I fully understand the time and the phenomenal machining that goes into making these lights, $700 is a stretch for me. Clearly though, this price is not a stretch for many collectors, considering how fast they sell, but I still simply can't justify the price tag for what you're getting. As a basis of comparison, you can get an overready Boss here, like this one, in full titanium, with a superior 371D driver for around the same cost or less. In conclusion, it's worth noting that when you get to this price point, you're paying less for the functional aspect as you are the machining, time, and direct relationship with the maker. It might sound kind of funny, but in a niche hobby like this, that relationship is everything. In these terms, I can't say this flashlight isn't worth it because everyone puts a different price tag on these types of things, and this price tag is unconsciously swayed by the aforementioned factors. I can, however, confidently say it's not worth it to me, although I would certainly like to own a flashlight with the Dragon driver in the future. I've sent in a flashlight to Charles before a long time ago for modding, and the guy's always conducted himself in a positive manner. But that's about my take on it. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully you found my thoughts informative. If I helped, be sure to hit that like button and to subscribe for more videos.